Hello guys, Wahoo here, back with another video. This time around, as you can see from the title, we have a concept idea that I have been brewing on for a while. But since World of Warcraft, Classic has become very popular with the hardcore scene, I thought it was a good idea to kind of also bring this idea into the community. It was something that people wanted to do. I got the idea way back when some people were talking about Death-Defying, and that's sort of what it's all centered around. I'll talk about that. We'll talk about all the rules that I have come up with, and I would love to hear you guys' feedback in the comments as well, what you guys would seem to be, what you would think would be a good addition or change to some of the rules as well. But since that had become very popular, I have borrowed some of the rules that has been in there from them and kind of converted it into Trove. But I have had this idea for like a long time, but now that there's rules in place for, World of Warcraft Classic, Hardcore, I kind of implemented some of these, as I said, from some of these. So of course the first rule is you only have one life. There's only one life per account, so it's not per class, it is per account. So yes, this, you could say, well, if you have like all of them level 30 and you die and stuff like that, that's very painful, but that's kind of the whole idea behind it. And if it was only one class, you could still play on them. And sure, you can change the rules if you want to do that. If you die on one class, you can still play on that account, but you have to, never play that class again. But since Trove is a free-to-play game, you can just create a new account. Not really the same thing can go, of course, with World of Warcraft. It would cost you a lot of money if you should start a new account all the time, but I would just kind of say you can just start a new account. You do have to make a new email, but I guess you can just make a new email for that, but only one life per account. And you can actually regulate this by doing, if somebody's like, hey, I'm hardcore, I've never died on my account. Okay, show me you have 0 death basically by doing /stats in the chat. I don't know how it's also, I think it's the same for consoles for that matter. And I don't know how it's kind of made, how you make accounts or extra accounts on consoles either. I just know how it works on PC. Maybe it works in similar ways, I don't know. But the point is that you can make a new account and then, or you can do the /stats and then you can actually, see how many times you've actually died. I think I've actually died like 1,300 times or something like that over my many years that I've died. And yes, so that is being tracked. So if it says 0, well, it's still viable as a hardcore account. So yeah, that's basically the first rule of Fight Club is that you don't die, basically. But yeah, that was the first rule. Let's move on to the second rule. So the second rule is Death-Defying, of course. Death-Defying, there's no argue about that. And you can say, well, what if people, buy it and just run with it without knowing? Sure, that's a totally a valid reason, and there'll be kind of no honor among thieves, right? If you know what I mean. But you're not even allowed to buy it. That's the thing. You're not allowed to buy it from the store. So if somebody like says, hey, well, you probably haven't, if somebody says bragging about having all classes level 30, like max power rank, whatever, being hardcore, right? They should show you a screenshot and of them actually buying or haven't bought the Death-Defying Vial as well. And sure, they could save a screenshot from way back when they haven't bought it and then they die after that and stuff like that. It's just a fun challenge, guys. It's not like something there's a big prize in the end where you can just like show off. This is something else than, because I know how people feel about the Death-Defying, which we talked about before. But yeah, you shouldn't just don't buy it. That's the whole thing. If you have it unbought in your in the store, right? You have not used it ever because you do have to buy it from there. There's not other ways to get it. So Death-Defying is of course not allowed to be bought. Then the third rule is quests. There's a quest tab. If you don't know, if you go into your adventures and stuff like that, there is a quest tab. The quest tab has to be completed. That is a must thing. I feel like that's people will probably do that anyway, but I feel like that's something that has to happen as well. You have to complete all those quests in there. There's kind of the expertise quest we had. It's kind of like an extra tutorial stuff, whatever. I think that has to be done as well. It's not a big thing, but I kind of feel like that's something that has to be done as well. The fourth rule is Uber Worlds and Delves. So with Delves, mostly about, of course, the I don't really, the delves is kind of like, I don't mind it too much. I don't want to put in too many rules and stuff like that. I kind of tried to put a rule in there about delves where you could only do it once a week, so you didn't like get a bunch of stuff and whatnot to kind of slow down people a little bit, to kind of make it a little bit harder for somebody. But I do think there should be a rule where you are basically, you have to be inside of the level requirement that it is. It's kind of harder with you know, delves and stuff like that, where's the level requirements there and such. But I do think that when you are leveling up a class, you can only stay in that world inside those level brackets. So if for example, the very first world we have is the Medieval Highlands, right? And that is from level 1 to level 3. But I think the power rank is like, you have to be at least 0. And then I think like the next world is like, you have to requirement. I think that's also 3 levels. I think all the worlds are approximately 3 levels. So you cannot, join, for example, you cannot join a U9, for example, I think before you hit max level or something like that. But it's in there in the big, if you put up your big atlas thing and you click the different worlds, it will show you and tell you what the level range is for that as well. So I feel like you shouldn't be over leveling either, because that makes it too easy if you just like level way over. Of course, you're going to be there already with the power rank, but it's not about the power rank. It's just you have to move on to the next world when you hit that level, just to make it a little bit harder and be inside those brackets. It's a good tip for also just leveling regularly, is to stay into those brackets and not go in looking at, hey, I can actually join this high of a world even though I have the power rank to do so. It's a good be in that level bracket or level range as well as that. So that's kind of what I was talking about the Uber worlds. I feel like that's just kind of slow people down a little bit, which is, I think, is a good idea to do so as well. And then the next thing is, of course, rule number 5, and I think this is also non-negotiable. I think these first rules are something that I think is absolutely necessary to have, and that's, of course, as you probably saw on the screen, is no real money shopping, or no real money shop, no spending real money on these, because if you die on the account also, you will not be able to go back. And so if you spend, like, let's say $1,000 and you're never going to go back to that account, that's $1,000 out the window. So I feel like it's, again, it also gives an unfair advantage, and just to, if you actually are competing with somebody, if somebody feels like they want to compete against each other and somebody just throwing money at it, then somebody's going to be more successful with it, and I don't think that. So no real money shopping at all. It's not what it's about. It's just about completing most of Trove, all your goals, kind of getting all character level 30, so on and so on, so on, unlocking a bunch of stuff and see how far you can go without actually dying in this one as well. That's all kind of what it's mostly all about. And so I don't really feel like real money shopping or real money, the shop in the real money shop is necessary for doing this either. So next thing is sort of, there's some rules that might be a given, but I feel like it's something that needs to be said anyways, and that's, of course, gearing, items, and gems and all that stuff. Everything is allowed for your gear, for your gems, for your items, and all that stuff. Everything is allowed in that sense. But I've also put in here another rule, basically, is that I feel like it should be, and that's really up to people. They can interpret the rules as they want to, but I really feel like that you should be like solo self-found, means that you should be running by yourself if you can, and not doing the XP farms and stuff like that, AFK, farms either. This is also very much taken from World of Warcraft, where it's like more individually, and then you sometimes, but if somebody comes by and sees that you're doing a dungeon, it doesn't mean that you then forfeit the challenge if somebody helps you out with it, but it's just that it's not really great, I feel like, if you are grouping with like a bunch of people, or at least doing the XP farms, or getting boosted in some way. I feel like that just takes all the fun out of it. It's just, that's not really hardcore. If somebody carries you all the way, that doesn't really put any skill into, or it just takes all the fun out. It sucks all the fun out of it. That's another thing. So I feel like it should be solo self-found, or just solo at least, like in many ways. I put in as well with trading and also the marketplace. I'll go to them as well and talk about those. But professions, all professions is of course allowed. There's no restriction there. It's kind of also taken from World of Warcraft. But trading and marketplace. Trading and marketplace. I feel like there shouldn't be no trading either. I don't feel like you should use the marketplace either. I feel like for smaller items, I feel like it's okay. Like when I mean no marketplace, I'm kind of talking about mounts, I'm talking about allies, I'm talking about all these things that I really don't feel like should be something that you use there. Like I don't feel like you should just trade all the gear with another character. Of course, not getting any help from your main account. If you have a main account, don't get any help from that. It should be, again, completely solo, and you can say, hey, well, it's still me, but I'm trading myself. But again, that would take all of the fun out of it if you just trade yourself like a couple of 100 millions, and then suddenly, hey, you have a full, you know, set of gear, and you really didn't do anything and all that stuff. I know there's some stuff that is not tradable, you know, like gems and stuff, but I really feel like it should be no marketplace. But if you want to buy, like, you know, some crafting materials and stuff like that, I feel like that's okay. But it's also really up to yourself if you want to buy or sell stuff on the marketplace as well. I feel like if you want to make it harder for yourself, then like not even selling anything, use it yourself, and you know, all that stuff. I feel like that's much better. So some other rules that I put in here, and that's sort of just what you feel like you want to do. Again, it's all up to you. These I'm just putting my sent down to it. You can take rules and add rules and take rules in and put them out, whatever you want to do with these, because I don't want to upset anybody with like, hey, I wanted this and I really want to do this challenge, but you have this rule, so I'm not going to do it. I don't want to, like, just take that rule out and just do whatever you feel like you want to do, but make it challenging for yourself. That's all the point of it. It's not about, hey, I have all of them, you know, characters maxed out, but I just carried it myself to victory, right? It's kind of like, that's not really fun, right? It's not really going to be super, super amazing. But the point is that we were talking battlegrounds and PvP, of course. You're allowed to do that if you die in, you know, PvP or battlegrounds. You're not going to die for real. It's not a real death. You can still play on all your characters and stuff like that. So PvP, you get, because there is some stuff you can get from PvP that's awesome. And I don't want to, you know, discourage people from doing PvP because it's actually amazing. But you should engage in it and don't feel like if you lose, right, you're gonna die, right? So PvP and battlegrounds, of course, is allowed. Then I was thinking about the map, the big Atlas map. I feel like we've kind of gone away from all the portals we had before, so that's kind of a rule you can put in there. I think it's a kind of like a small rule that if people don't do this, I don't feel like it's a big deal and whatnot. But it's just when you open your big map and you go to a certain place, you just kind of go around, but you can actually craft portals, and it takes a little bit longer, and it kind of just slows the whole challenge down a little bit more, and just kind of slows it all down, be more chill, I feel like. But that's really up to you if you want to put that, but this is just a rule that's kind of top of my head. But yeah, you know, maybe use the big map, that's okay. I think that's what. Next thing is the clubs. I don't really know. I put in you are not allowed to join a club, and also you are allowed to join a club. The thing is that I don't want people to join a club for the benefits, but I want people to join a club to have some fun, right? To have some you know, community and stuff like that around it. I would love to have that, but I feel like the buffs from the, you know, from the club can also vary much in a, like if somebody's competing against each other and somebody gets into a really nice club that has a bunch of benefits, it's gonna boost your a lot, right? So, and sure, the other one can join the club maybe as well, but maybe they can't, and then the other one just has a lot of benefits from that as well. I don't know if you can, I guess you can do it like where you create a club that you have as your primary club, right? That doesn't give you any buffs or anything like that. And then you can be part of other clubs as well. That's just for the, you know, community and the socialization and all that stuff. Any benefits from, you know, joining that club as well. And then lastly, I have events. I think you should be allowed to do all the events you like. I just put that in there, but it's really up to you. But about the club thing as well, I really don't know. I'm kind of torn in that sense. I just don't want people to get the buff, but I do want people to be social. So it's kind of like, hey, what are we really going to do? But yeah. So that was the concept idea. If you have more ideas, if you have anything you want to add, put it in the comments. Yeah, I just think it was pretty fun, and I've just been playing around with the idea, and now I just wanted to put it out there, and maybe some people are gonna like it, some people not. It's just a fun idea. It's just a concept idea. It's not really something I think should come to Trove for real. I think it's just something you could do for yourself if you want that extra challenge in there as well. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.